This video shows how to properly use solder shrink tubes from holidaycoil.com. Now, the solder shrink tube here is a simple device. It's a piece of clear, waterproof tubing, and on the outsides of each section is waterproof adhesive glue. These colors indicate, in this case, red being 18 to roughly 24 gauge. In the center we have a low temp solder that is going to melt and make a mechanical connection, while the outside waterproofing rings waterproof connection to prevent water from coming into the connection. It's going to happen in all one section, and what we're going to do is start off with some wire. In this particular case we have 18 gauge. This is just extension wire, but pretend this is wire from your pixels. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to, from about an 1/8 inch from the end, maybe a little more, strip this back. Now I'm just using some standard dikes. I'm going to use the flat edge and I'm going to cut them all off at one time. And there we go. Now we do need to have them separate because we need to be able to put the neck of the solder shrink tube down the length. And so I'm just going to simply wrap these together so that they don't stray. Now what we're going to adhere it to is some standard waterproof connections. Here, this might be, for example, if you had a pigtail, and we're essentially going to just, again, strip this back about an 1/8, come back, strip them all off, and in this particular case we're going to solder the blue and black together. And so I'm going to take my solder shrink tube and I'm simply going to just slide it over the top of the wire, putting the wire so that the bare copper portion, or tin coated copper portion, is in the center of this sleeve. Now I'm also going to take the other end of my cable and put it in. Now note that if you are intending to overwrap, in other words put another piece of heat shrink tubing that just generally brings these together to make them cleaner, you would want to put this on your cable before you start. Okay, so I have them in there together. They are overlapping. The pieces of extension wire here, the coverings, are on the other side of the solder shrink tube. Now what we're going to use in this case a Dremel blowtorch. It's just a slow output blowtorch. You can also use ones from, for example, this case Harbor Freight, eBay, McMaster Cars. There's all different kinds. You could even use a lighter if you wanted to. Now what I'm going to do is take my torch here, just turn it on, and I'm just going to slowly move it, put it in the middle here, make sure that my wires stay in here, and I'm going to solder it. Now it will happen very quickly. The solder will go from a nice long ring, round, to a single little kind of puddle, and here you can see that it's now shrunk, and I'm just going to go ahead and finish off the ends, which shrink the waterproofing section here. And you can see that there is a slight bulge, ensuring that there's a good waterproof connection here right around this insulation here and here. And my solder is nicely spread out. Now you'll want to give it a few seconds because this solder is warm. It has to set up before you can make a mechanical connection, and it won't come apart. So in this particular case that connection is complete. So if we pull on it, you can see it's very strong, it's fully waterproof, and all that was in one single step. It's that easy to use Holiday Coil solder shrink tubes.